Lost my voice. Welcome back from the break. I hope you had good conversations. And I forgot to mention before that I think this calendar with every day one tip of benefits of FT, we should do it, definitely. Like promotional and inspirational calendar for FT lovers who we are here. We will continue with very, very interesting panel discussions and also presentations. Firstly, we are going, before we were a little bit theoretical, now we're going more into practice. So I'm really happy to say that our next panel and also presentations, before we have presentations and panel about FT and the benefits for competent authorities, because we have heard today many times that in 2027 the obligation goes to member states and more precisely on competent authorities to be able to accept digital documents. So we are very, very happy to have here experts on this field, and I'm happy to ask here Toomas Koronev from Estonian Police and Border Guard Group, who is a leader in Traffic Supervision Department. And how we do it is that first we have presentations, and then when everybody has had their presentations, we will move to the chairs. So, you have experience 5 years, and your favorite mode of transport is road transport, everything on wheels. Here you go.
Okay. Hello. So in Estonia, we already been digitalizing everything, depending also things on the road, and our and sometimes our checks are quite easy because of the electronic databases we use. So we can check almost everything from one check from the one computer, only doing one request. And using the electronic CMRs, data is also very useful, and the check will be much easier and quicker for us also. We will get a very clear overview what is on the truck, where it comes from. No need to understand what is written by hand on the CMRs. And maybe driver have been made some mistake. So the check is very quick if we see data when the data is digitalized. Also less bureaucratic burden, and as I said, the efficiency of the check will be better for us. Right now, some of our companies are using electronic documents already for many years, and there have been a lot of positive arguments about that, because everything is understandable. I can check it from my database, or driver shows me from his computer or tablet, and nobody has any questions because everybody knows which data is needed for the check. And also the transparency. I think it would be not so easy to manipulate with the data if the data is digitalized. But there's, I think, one problem. Maybe it is possible to use both on the paper and the digital CMRs. So me as a control officer, I should understand which one he is using right now. And also some threats, which is system failure, cybersecurity risks. As we know, it happens all the time, system fails. And when we are on the road, system is failing, what should we do? I think the suggestion will be maybe you should take a paper note also with you. So if something happens, you can show. Other way, we will just wait for the answer from the database. And the possibility to use both paper and digital transport documents at the same time, as I said. I think that the database should be available. The data should be like, how to say, that I can check it and I already see that you have an electronic one. So if you show me a paper one, I think that one will be like falsified, or I will take into the count only the electronic one. And this summer, we tried already this eFTI waybill through our database. So computers we use in police vehicles are the usual tablets. We only need a vehicle registration numbers, and I can get all the data, the registration data and everything about the vehicle, including road taxes, and all the information needed. And this summer they tried the eFTI waybill view. So we're ready for that. We have all the data on the waybill already, only with one click. So thank you.
Thank you for this short but very informative insights of Estonian digital world. Now I'm really happy to ask here Heinz Albert Stamben from Eurocontrol Route. He's a director there, and he has over 20 years of experience in this field. And his favorite mode of transport is also on wheels, the car. And I heard you have a 32-year-old BMW that you drove here. Yes, a Mercedes, even better. So,
I agree.
So, please.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, I give you a short agenda for my short presentation. Around 10 minutes, I think, will be lasting. I give you a little bit more introduction of myself and the organization eCI GTC, using the opportunity to make a little bit advertising for us. And then I will talk about my experience of digitalization of road traffic, from the passenger cars, from trucks and buses as well, and about licenses and permits, and the conclusion, what is from our perspective the most beneficial items for inspections. So just coming from me, you know, Heinz Albert Stumpen, I used to be a police officer for more than 40 years in the police of North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany. So a little bit more than half a year in the so-called gold level, which means strategic and conceptual work on everything. And for the last 20 years, I think, of my span of my career, I was the deputy head of the traffic police in the city of Münster. And it's around North Rhine-Westphalia, around near Cologne, Düsseldorf might be a little bit more known like this, and the motorway as well around Münster. And this is why I came into contact with truck traffic and professional traffic and professional transport of passengers and as well of freight or cargo. In the last 6 years, I used to be a lecturer in traffic psychology, traffic science at the German Police University, which is as well located in Münster. And currently, as you said, I'm the director of eFTI4EU. And what is eFTI4EU all about? The germ cell was in 1994 already, so 30 years ago. When the Benelux states came to the idea, let's have some kind of network for information exchange and things like that about professional traffic, trans-border professional traffic, and let's come together under the umbrella of the Benelux organization, which is located here in Brussels. And this European network was growing up to 50 to 20 member states during these 30 years. Sometimes some member states left, some member states came to us. This was still a Benelux organization, and then was a plan to change the legal identity, because this was a kind of, let's say, unknown legal identity of this grouping of this organization under the umbrella of Benelux. And this had some disadvantages, having, for instance, not the legal identity to apply for co-financing from the DG Move, especially. They had to be a new modern, more modern organization with a new legal identity. And this was found under as well a European, let's say, invention, which is the European grouping of territorial cooperation. This is what we are already now. Not so since so much time. The inaugural meeting is not done yet. It will be in November this year, and we are located in the Netherlands. And the new headquarters is in Rijswijk. This is a small city in the near of The Hague. So this mission was accomplished with 7 founding member states. And for the moment, we are waiting, negotiating. One of my main tasks with the former members to come, let's say, to come back to eFTI4EU with its new legal identity. So far about this, you see, this is the founding members. There were many member states, former member states, who had some, let's say, legal or bureaucratic hurdles to be in the group of founding members. And this is what we are looking for. And you see there is some gray left on the northeast, and as we are on the Finnish permanent representation here, probably we can make it. We probably will find another color in the next. So, okay. Yes, I already told you in November we have the inaugural meeting, and this is what we are aiming for. This is the safe, sustainable and fair road transport in Europe. And we do this. This is our vision and mission in cooperation between European road traffic inspectorates regarding knowledge, skills and innovations. So this is not more because, you know, since I am the director officially since April this year, and there were so many priorities, number 1, and other priorities A, and number priorities alpha. So I cannot do everything at once. So we are walking through everything that must be done as a groundwork, especially of, for instance, our strategy, our general strategy. And this is what we are already convinced of. Our mission and our vision is already done. So This is what we are doing. What we do: bilateral, trilateral, and multilateral exchanges within our founding members. We do some cross-border inspections, not only with the inspectorates, but always collaborating with the local police, with customs, sometimes with the European Labour Authority, and we are working on more seminars, webinars, workshops on driving and resting times of posting and cabotage. This is what we are planning for 2025. So this is the advertising moment has ended now. Now I come to the main point, what I wanted to tell you. So I would like to give you a short overview what I experienced within the last 20, 30, 40 years when I was a police officer. When I started, we did everything in an analog way, in a paper way. But during all these decades, let's say the digitalization was rapidly evolving. So to make this a little bit more understandable, you know that the size of the programming of a software is measured in so-called lines of codes. So how many lines of codes must be programmed to make this software run? And you see the space shuttle had around 1 million lines of codes. And a modern high-end car, as well a BMW and as also a Mercedes, has 100 millions of lines of code in the car, only the car, not at the manufacturer, only the car that everything runs smoothly. Not in my car. You told them that my car is 32 years old, but the modern Mercedes, the modern Volvo, all the manufacturers that are keeping track with the digitalization has this 100 lines of code. So this is, I think, a very good proof how passenger cars and how digitalization on passenger cars is evolving. Data is stored in the car. There are some steering units in the car, which is for inspections very interesting. Data is sent as well to the manufacturers, and data is sent as well to other organizations like navigation providers and car rental companies. And this has some consequences for the competent authorities from the perspective of inspections. So if you know there are some data to be captured for any investigation, you must be prepared to capture this data. So for police, 40 years police officer, this unit, the steering unit, you can see airbag on it. This is in every car. And if it comes to a collision, to an accident, there is data captured in this thing. And the consequence for the police is they must be prepared to collect or to capture this data from this device. And in Germany, and I think in other EU states as well, we have this. This is just the Bosch one. There are others, the so-called crash data retrieval. So digitalization in the car must derive digitalization for inspectors. The data that is stored at the manufacturers and other organizations must probably as well be confiscated for investigations after heavy accidents. Who was the perpetrator? Who is responsible for this damage? Probably even more if there are injuries or more. So let's go to digitalization of the road transport. Trucks and buses have the same. They are also rolling computers, and they have, as everybody here in the room knows, so-called digital tachographs. And they have a digital driver card. So knowing that there is a digital tachograph and knowing that there is a digital driver card, the inspectors must be prepared and have their own devices to collect and capture this data for inspections, for investigations. So this is what we need. We have this so-called download keys for the driver cards and for the digital tachographs. And as you probably also know, the digital tachograph, the so-called smart tachographs, which are mandatory as of the mid next year, the so-called Generation 2, Version 2, they can be read out remotely. So the data can be read out remotely, which has the consequence that the inspectors as well must be prepared to do this. So this is one of the cars in Germany. They have this so-called DSRC antenna to read out this data and to find out if the car that is running by and driving by is everything okay or if it's not okay. And they can do the pre-selection. This is a very magic word for us as from a perspective of inspections. This is what you get. If they read and they capture the data remotely, you get a green button or a red button, which is pre-selection. So to be more efficient during the inspections, I think this, where is he? The colleague from Estonia probably can confirm this. They try to avoid, the officers try to avoid the so-called green inspections. Green inspections means everything is fine, everything is in line. But to check this is if everything is fine, it costs you as well 30, 45 minutes. And during this 30 or 45 minutes, probably 30 other trucks that were not in line with anything passed this road inspection spot and you missed it. So this helps a lot for inspections to do this pre-selection. And yes, you already think what could be the next sentence as well. eFTI will help us to do this pre-selection a little bit better. Because if it's possible, what you said earlier, that we can check it with a number plate, and the cargo should be, let's say, plastic waste, but you see refrigerators or end-of-life vehicles, there should be something wrong. And this is one way to pre-select and to stop this car and to find out what is wrong with this car. Licenses and permits, this goes a little bit quicker. We have already some nations who issue digital permits on a national way, for instance, in Denmark. Then we have the ECMT licenses, which are digitized and digitalized as well as of 2026, and eFTI in 2027 at the latest. So conclusion is, firstly, the eFTI from my perspective is a logical step towards digitization because everything is rapidly digitalized in traffic and in transport as well. There might be a gap between the national perspective and the international issuing of digital permits and licenses like ECMT. And if you follow the logic of my presentation, something is digitalized and the inspections, the competent authorities who are responsible for inspections must stick to it. They must be prepared, and this is why I come to the 3P, which means prior, proper preparation of everybody involved is mandatory. And I can add another 3P, which is this prevents poor performance. So thank you so much for listening and for your attention. And now, yes, later I'm one of the panelists and I'm looking for your questions. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. It's very interesting. Already in 1994, the cooperation started. Yeah. It's amazing. Now I'm happy to ask here Rudi Hermeles, who has many hats, but today he's here to talk about Flemish as a Flemish Waterway Administration and very valuable work they're doing there. And Rudi has more than 25 years of experience in this field, so very experienced, and I'm really happy to have you also at eFTI4EU project. And his favorite mode of transport is inland navigation. No surprise here.
Thank you very much. With today's hat, I'm replacing Jeff Bowes. Jeff has announced to be absent today, and so during the breakfast I got a challenge to make his presentation. A presentation whereby I'm also, of course, external advisor of the Flemish Waterway, and where Jeff Bowes is coordinating the eFTI subject within the CEF-funded consortium, which is called COMEX. And COMEX is a consortium of inland navigation authorities. So I have a lot of slides. I will have to select some of them, but there are three messages. The first message is that inland navigation has a European platform already that must be integrated with the eFTI platforms, which have a rather national starting point. So it's important to be integrated. The second message is one of two parts. It's a message whereby the administrations think, they are convinced that eFTI is important from the perspective of economic operators, but also from the perspective of authorities. So it's certainly a challenge. The third message is that we have to make sure that what we propose here as a group, that it remains simple, and it must not be more complex. The solutions that we propose should not be more complex than what we already have in place. So let me go through the selection of Jeff's presentation. With today's situation is that if we look at an inland vessel, so we are speaking about inland navigation, with cargo on board, it starts a route on inland navigation waterways from one country often to the other one. We see there is already a lot of data, information that is shared between the vessel operators, between the logistics parties and authorities. We have their ship information, dimensions for instance. We have route information. We have cargo information. But we still see that there are some differences between between member states, and typically a barge, an inland navigation vessel, which only goes from Antwerp to Luxembourg, is just passing 4 member states, from one to the other one. So if you look at it, all this data today is essentially shared with authorities for efficiency, traffic management. In inland navigation, this is key important. For safety, safety means safety in case of dangerous goods, in case of non-dangerous goods, and for statistics. Yeah, also that third point is quite important. Yeah. So in inland navigation, there is an important directive. Like we have eFTI. Today, we already have inland navigation, we have a RIS directive. And in that RIS directive is explaining in detail which data needs to be reported in an electronic way. And if this data is reported in the context of the RIS directive in an electronic way, then there is a standard, the ERI standard. ERI stands for Electronic Reporting Information. So we do have standards in inland navigation. If you look at it, we stole a picture out of Ulrika's presentation. We also see that inland navigation is typically part of multimodal supply chains, whereby there are a whole number of documents and information data sets which are shared between the different parties and with authorities. So going forward, we see there that all the information, and that's of course where the opportunity is it is coming from, they have the source in cargo documents. The cargo documents are used between the economic operator, and the same information is used to share data with authorities. So typically when a barge is leaving on a trip, on a voyage then called in inland navigation, the information is entered into a platform, which could be BIX, but there are other ones. And then we see that this data is shared with authorities. We have different regional specific applications. And this is one of the things that we do within the COMEX consortium project. We see what part of these applications can be used either as eFTI platform or eFTI gate or to store registry information. We also see that there is an opportunity in inland navigation, like we have in road transport. The CMR convention and the ECMR protocol. We also have a similar one in inland navigation, which is the CMNI Convention of Budapest. And this CMNI Convention is very, very similar to the CMR one, but it is not mandatory for the transport of goods by inland navigation. But it is an opportunity, and we expect that eFTI is going to boost a transition to also getting more and more the transport documents in line with the CMNI Convention. So let me go on. The findings today is that the skipper sometimes, they do not have, the skipper, so the one navigating the barge, yeah, they do not have access to all the necessary information and documents at the moment when they are loading their vessels. Sometimes there is time pressure at the ports, there are transshipment handlings. Sometimes it's not that all the documents are standardized for all types of transport. And we see that, of course, this results in administrative burden for the skipper. And, of course, because we have no harmonization, we have no, that results in a lack of quality of the data presented by the skipper to the authorities. Let's go on, and eFTI comes in. First of saying that the whole sector today is thinking, exploring, trying to understand what is the impact of eFTI for inland navigation. But we start having some conversions to a number of answers. So the benefit for the skipper, they are there. Lower administrative burden and lower change of problems in disputes, in communication between themselves, but also with authorities. For the authorities themselves also, we see that there is, and this is now also being translated in very practical profiles and so, we see there the authorities, they are more and more going to have a clear definition of roles, because we have many authorities in inland navigation, which are different in member states. Yeah? But we see there also we are going more towards a role-based definition of what they can do, the law enforcement profiles that they can have in practice, which ones of the subsets of LIA they can use. Yeah? But that's what is happening also. We see there are, and we see there also that we are more and more going into better information which is shared with port community systems, with all the ones which are involved. So better quality of data is of course better service along. So the points of attention is that we are looking at this moment, what is the investment in eFTI gates? Are we maybe going into the direction of an European eFTI gate for inland navigation? Maybe, maybe not. We are looking in scenarios which are possible. We are looking at the adoption of the existing operational systems. We certainly must avoid creating new systems that make the older ones obsolete because inland navigation does have a good, very European platform. And then, of course, also we are looking into training of enforcement departments, of lock operators. And of course, we also see the number one priority is communication, to explain to everyone what is a gate, what is a platform, what is eFTI, what is a subset, what is a data set. It looks simple for us, but it's not so simple for the normal people, which are very often also like in road transport. We have a lot of small family operations which are there. Yeah. So we are also then looking at the impact of the standards, like eFTI, yeah, but also other combined transport. What are the impact on the current RIS guidelines? Because by definition, RIS is not part of the scope of eFTI. So if eFTI becomes mandatory for economic operators, we are going to have better operational efficiency, we are going to have less complexity, and our operational cost will decrease. If we look at the strength of from the competent authorities, we see there that we are going to have an additional alignment between member states. We are going to have common platforms that provide risk information, but also use the same information for eFTI purposes, whereby we already have available, that's different with other modes of transport, in the EU risk portal, we already know exactly which vessel is at which location. We see there also what is the information about these vessels. We can also then use that information directly as a source for the eFTI gates, which is an initial thing where we have, with inland navigation, one step ahead. Yeah. So let me go to the open points. The question is also, of course, that we are, and that's done within the Comics 2 project, but also within eFTI4EU. We have a focus on integrating multiple modes. Yeah? We look at what is the eFTI gate functionality that is specifically required for inland navigation. We have a specific requirement also that the data can be accessed of specific voyages can be accessed by remote authorities cross-border. For instance, a port in Antwerp wants to know which dangerous goods are on the way to Antwerp. Yep. And we also then see what is the impact on the data standard. But there also the message that I'm asked to tell you is that keep it simple. I see also that I get also a message to keep it short. So let's say that thanks for listening to this presentation.